I hope you enjoy my stories. Instead of just clicking thumbs down, please comment and share how we can do better. If you do like our video, then please like and subscribe.
You know, there comes a time when you reach your breaking point, and let me tell you, they finally crossed the line with me. And now? Now I'm absolutely hellbent on tearing down that line, no matter what it takes. To be completely upfront with you, figuring out my first move, or any move for that matter, has been a bit of a head-scratcher. But here I am, sitting in my living room in my California home, with this unwavering resolve to tackle the issue head-on. California, oh man, it's a state with its own set of unique challenges, especially when it comes to homeowners associations. Yeah, the notorious HOAs. You hear stories that could give you nightmares, and now it seems like it's my turn to be part of such a tale. But thinking about it, maybe being in California isn't totally a disadvantage. Sure, dealing with an HOA can be akin to navigating a minefield, but it also means there are plenty of resources and precedents for me to draw upon. As I mull over my options, I can't help but feel a bit of that famous California rebellion spirit stirring inside me. Maybe it's the sun, the surf, or just the sheer frustration talking, but I'm starting to see this as more than just a personal challenge. It's an opportunity, a chance to stand up, not just for myself, but for anyone else who's felt cornered by these seemingly omnipotent HOAs. So yeah, I might not have all the answers right now, and yes, the road ahead might be fraught with paperwork, meetings, and possibly some heated exchanges. But I'm ready to dive in and find out just how far I can go with this. After all, they've pushed me into a corner, and now I'm more determined than ever to fight my way out of it. Our HOA dues are a joke. $60 a month, and for what? Absolutely nothing. No amenities, no maintenance of any common areas, because there aren't any. Just a hefty fee to supposedly maintain property values, which sounds more like a scam to fatten the board members' wallets if you ask me. They claim it costs $10,000 annually to maintain a side gate. That's just laughable. And don't even get me started on their pettiness. Weeds. That's what got their knickers in a twist. Our home is one of the nicer ones in the neighborhood, if I do say so myself, but you wouldn't believe the harassment we faced over some minor landscaping issues. The final straw was the meeting last night, which felt more like a witch hunt against me. I've never been so insulted in my life. That was it. I was done. I wanted out, but since moving wasn't an option, I decided it was time to put an end to their tyranny. So there I was standing on my porch, strategizing my next big move. The game plan seemed pretty clear in my head. I needed to wander around my neighborhood, knocking on each door, and having real conversations with my neighbors. The task wasn't just about getting a simple yes or no. It was about sharing my story, my frustrations, and my hopes for our community. Dissolving the HOA wasn't going to be an easy feat. I knew I needed the backing of at least 2/3 of our community to even kickstart the process. And believe me, I was under no illusion about the challenge that lay ahead. But there I was, full of determination. I had this burning desire to see change, to bring about a sense of freedom and mutual respect within our neighborhood. I slipped on my most comfortable shoes, grabbed a stack of petition forms, and headed out. Door to door, face to face, I was ready to share my plight. It was about more than just convincing my neighbors to sign a piece of paper. This was about connecting, understanding their reservations, and addressing their concerns. Each knock, each conversation brought me closer to my goal, or so I hoped. Armed with facts, personal stories, and a little bit of charm, I made my way through the neighborhood. Some doors opened with a smile, others with a bit of skepticism. But each interaction was a step forward, a battle in my larger war against what I saw as an overbearing HOA. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a fight, a long one at that. But as I walked from door to door, I felt a growing sense of hope. Each signature felt like a small victory, a sign of solidarity and support. I was ready to fight tooth and nail to get every single one of those needed signatures. And as the day turned into night, and the day again, my resolve only grew stronger. This was my mission, and I was going to see it through, no matter what it took. The battle against the HOA dictatorship was exhausting. The letters, the threats of fines, the ridiculous rules, they were all suffocating. No fire pits, no painting your door without shelling out more money, even if it was the same color. It was absurd. Our $600,000 home felt more like a prison than a sanctuary. The first step was crafting the perfect pitch to my neighbors. I spent nights researching, drafting, and redrafting my speech, making sure every word would resonate with their own frustrations. I wasn't the only one suffering. I was certain of that. If the HOA was a thorn in my side, it had to be pricking others too. The morning I set out, petition in hand, I was a bundle of nerves. Knocking on the first door felt like facing a firing squad, but the response was surprisingly supportive. One by one, as I shared my story and listened to theirs, it became clear that I wasn't alone in my discontent. Stories of blatant disrespect and nonsensical regulations poured out. Neighbors who I'd barely exchanged niceties with became comrades in arms. Gathering signatures became easier with each door. The community's shared grievances fueled our collective desire for change. It was more than just about fire pits or door colors now. It was about reclaiming our homes, our autonomy, our right to live without being micromanaged by a power-hungry board. Weeks of canvassing turned into months. The process was slow, often disheartening, but the cause was too important to give up on. Legal hurdles and board pushback tested our resolve, but with each challenge, our resolve only strengthened. The turning point came unexpectedly. A board member, worn down by the increasing pressure and perhaps a guilty conscience, reached out to me. They shared insider details about the financial mismanagement and the board's exploitation of their authority. This information was the ammunition we needed to rally more support and strengthen our case against the HOA. Armed with evidence and widespread community backing, we finally called for a vote. The tension in the room during that meeting was palpable. As the votes were counted, I couldn't help but think about everything that led to this moment. The anger, the frustration, the hope. When the result was announced, a triumphant cheer erupted. We had done it. We had won. The HOA was to be dissolved. The journey was long and fraught with challenges, but standing there among my neighbors, I felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. We had come together, united against a common enemy, and emerged victorious. Our community was ours again, free from the oppressive rule that had sought to dictate how we lived in our own homes. In the days that followed, there was a palpable change in the neighborhood. The atmosphere was lighter, friendlier, more communal. We started planning for the community's future, discussing improvements and projects that would truly benefit us all, not just align the pockets of a greedy few. Looking back, I never imagined taking on the HOA would consume so much of my life. But as I sit on my porch, not worrying about fines for the color of my flowers or the state of my lawn, I know it was worth every moment. Our battle wasn't just about defeating the HOA. It was about reclaiming our community, our homes, our peace of mind. And in the end, we did just that. Moving into a community with an HOA seemed like a pretty solid idea at first, you know what I mean? The whole concept of having everything managed for you, like the communal areas and all the neighborhood planning stuff, really appealed to me. It was the kind of order and neatness I thought I wanted in my life. It sounded pretty great, not having to worry about whether the neighbors were going to let their yards turn into jungles or if the streets would start to look shabby. Everything had its place, and there was a sense of community togetherness that you don't find just anywhere. Then, somehow, I found myself getting elected as one of the directors of the HOA. Man, that's when things took a turn I wasn't expecting. At first, I was kind of pumped about it. I thought, hey, now I can really be part of making sure our community stays nice and maybe even improve stuff. But oh boy, was I in for a surprise. Being on the inside, it was like pulling back the curtain and finding out the wizard is just a guy with too many plans and not enough magic to make it happen. Suddenly, I was in the thick of it. Disagreements over trivial things, complaints about this and that, and the politics. I never imagined the politics involved in an HOA could be so intense. The meetings, which I thought would be straightforward and about making the neighborhood better, turned into these drawn-out discussions over the most minor things. And email chains? Don't even get me started. They were endless, often about things so small, you'd wonder why anyone even bothered.
But bother they did, and heavily. I guess what I'm trying to say is, what seemed like a decent plan, moving into this community and being part of the HOA, turned out to be more complicated than I expected.
It's not all bad, of course. There are moments when I can see the difference we're making, when neighbors come together to celebrate or help each other out. But those moments feel few and far between amidst the unraveling complexities of HOA life. It's a learning curve, and I'm still trying to find my footing on it. Living here in our community, made up of more than 300 homes, has always been something I took a lot of pride in.
We're pretty big, you know?
So when I got elected to be on the board, there's just 5 of us all together. I was beyond excited.
There were 2 of us newbies who got chosen about 2 years back.
Let me tell you, I was full of ideas and dreams about how I was going to make real changes around here. I was all about spending our community funds in a smart way, making sure we were getting the best out of every penny. But man, did things take a turn that I wasn't expecting. You see, California has its beauty and its challenges too. Those wildfires, they hit us really bad. It was a tough time for all of us here. But fortunately, we ended up getting a hefty settlement from it all. And that's when my dream job turned into a bit of a nightmare. I mean, dealing with the aftermath wasn't easy. Suddenly, there was this big lump sum of money we had to manage. And everyone had an opinion on what we should do with it. It wasn't just about rebuilding. It was about improving, protecting us from future disasters, and about 100 other things. The pressure was on, and it was a lot more complicated than I ever imagined it'd be when I first got elected. Honestly, I thought being on the board would be about making decisions on landscaping and maybe organizing the odd community event. But now it's meetings, budgets, and tough decisions that not everyone's going to be happy with. It's been a wild ride and not exactly what I signed up for. But here I am, still trying to do my best for our community, despite the hurdles and unexpected challenges.
Wish me luck, huh? Curiosity may have indeed been the downfall for the proverbial cat, but in my situation it led to something less drastic, yet equally disconcerting: my expulsion from crucial board meetings. This unexpected turn of events unfolded soon after I took the initiative to probe deeper into matters of significant importance, particularly concerning the allocation of the company's settlement funds.
My inquiries, which I believed were both relevant and necessary for transparent governance, did not sit well with my fellow directors.
In what seemed like a reactionary move, they opted to create an executive committee, a smaller subset of the board, consisting of just 3 members. This newly formed trio embarked on a path of exclusivity, holding clandestine meetings beyond the purview of the entire board. During these secretive gatherings, they unilaterally voted on various contracts and made pivotal decisions that should have ideally involved input from all directors. The audacity of their actions was astounding.
Their deliberate exclusion not only undermined the principles of collective decision-making and accountability, but also raised serious questions about the democratic governance within our organization. Can you believe such a scenario unfolding within the supposedly transparent walls of a corporate boardroom? Then things took a turn for the absurd.
Their conflicts of interest bloomed like wildflowers, and before I knew it, the HOA slapped a complaint against 11 homeowners, me included. They accused us of trespass and interfering with board business. What a farce! Most folks just settled because fighting meant hiring a lawyer, and not everyone's up for that kind of fight financially.
I, on the other hand, was not ready to back down. Digging through whatever financial crumbs I could gather, I uncovered a slew of shady dealings. Overpayment here, overcharging there, and a generous helping of falsehoods in the accounting documents.
It was like peeling back layers of an onion, with each layer stinking more than the last. I spilled the beans to our community, but the response was lukewarm at best. Some didn't care, while others were too split to form any kind of united front against the board. It was disheartening to see such apathy.
It became clear to me that HOAs and management companies are like the new mafia, skimming money right under our noses.
My attorney, bless his soul, pulled out all the stops.
He proved beyond a doubt that their accusations of trespass and interference were baseless.
It was all a paper war, back and forth emails with threats more empty than a politician's promises.
6 months of this nonsense dragged on, and when they realized we were pushing for a court date to reveal the financial documents, the HOA dropped the case faster than a hot potato. Nothing. Now, here I am, out of pocket for all the legal fees with nothing but a bitter taste in my mouth. My attorney isn't keen on suing the HOA. It seems like we'd just be throwing stones at a fortress with their insurance acting as the shield. He's probably right, but it feels like letting the bad guys win without a fight.
I find myself at a crossroads, pondering my next move. Is it worth sinking more money into a case with slim chances of victory?
Yet the thought of them getting away with all of this sits in my gut like a lead weight. I made my thoughts public, hoping to find someone who's been down this road before. Maybe they found a way to fight back without draining their bank account or their spirit. Or perhaps they discovered some peace in letting go and moving on, cutting their losses before it dragged them down further. It's not just about the money spent on defending myself. It's the principle of the matter. The board blatantly flouted the law, hoping to exhaust my resources and will. But should I keep fighting, knowing it might just be me against a system designed to protect itself at all costs? Guess I'm just seeking some wisdom here. Has anyone else been through this ringer? Did you find it worth your while to pursue justice, or did you find solace in letting go and sparing yourself further grief? The breach of trust and the blatant corruption it's laid bare is more than just bothersome. It feels like a personal affront, and I'm just not sure where to direct these feelings.
There's a part of me that wants to stand up, to shout from the rooftops that this won't stand.
But there's another quieter part that wonders if silence, acceptance, and moving forward is the smarter move. It's a tough call, and right now I'm stuck oscillating between a rock and a hard place, trying to figure out if the fight's worth the cost, both financially and emotionally. I guess it boils down to this. Do I take the high road knowing I did what I could, or do I prepare for a potentially bankrupting battle for the sake of principle? It's a tough pill to swallow, realizing that sometimes the bad guys do win. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a sliver of hope in fighting the long, hard fight.
Only time and perhaps the advice of those who've walked this path before will tell. I never would have believed in the kind of drama that an HOA could stir up if I weren't living through it myself, right here in Georgetown, Texas.
Honestly, it's akin to being in the midst of a legal thriller, except in this instance, the stakes are significantly higher. We're talking about our homes and our community. To be completely honest, things have taken a turn for the unbelievable. At first, I thought the stories of HOA disputes were just exaggerated tales meant to scare new homeowners. However, my experience has quickly taught me otherwise.
Believe it or not, the conflicts that erupt over seemingly minor details such as the color of your front door or the length of your lawn are both real and intense. It's bewildering to think that such trivial matters can escalate to the point where neighbors who once shared friendly waves and barbecue invites are now embroiled in bitter disputes.
This journey with our local HOA has unraveled like the pages of a meticulously plotted novel, with twists and turns at every chapter.
There have been moments when I felt as though I was navigating a minefield, trying desperately to avoid the next confrontation or stern letter in the mail, accusing me of violating some obscure rule I wasn't even aware existed. Let me share a bit of what's happened. Meetings that were supposed to be routine discussions about community upkeep turned into heated debates, with tempers flaring over issues as mundane as parking regulations or holiday decorations. It's surreal, to say the least. The tension in the air during these gatherings is palpable, as if we're all characters in a drama waiting for the climax to reveal itself. And amidst all this, the realization hits our community, which was supposed to be a peaceful haven, has become a battleground for control and compliance.
Yet here I am sharing my story in the hope that it might shed some light on the unexpected complexities of suburban living.
It's a wild ride, one that I never imagined I'd be a part of, and it all centers around the unlikely antagonist in our tale, the Homeowners Association.
I've been part of this community for a while now, and let me tell you, dealing with our HOA board has been quite the ordeal.
They've truly taken the concept of power, tripping to an entirely new level, which, to be frank, has been both shocking and frustrating for all of us living here.
It all began with what seemed like petty complaints. You wouldn't believe the kind of things they get on your case for. If you left your trash bins out even just a day after pickup, you'd find yourself hit with a ridiculous fine.
And heaven forbid, your lawn should dare to be an inch higher than what they deemed acceptable. It was as if they had nothing better to do than patrol our neighborhood, looking for any minor infraction to penalize.
But as time went on, things only got worse.
It wasn't just about the small stuff anymore. The escalation was swift and, to put it mildly, quite dramatic.
Suddenly, it felt like living under the scrutiny of a tyrannical regime, rather than in a neighborhood community where everyone should be looking out for each other. It was a startling shift, to say the least, and one that has made every day here a bit more stressful than the last.
A few months ago, tired of their nonsense, a group of us decided it was time to see them out. Easier said than done.
Our bylaws say we need a whopping 10% of the community to vote them out, which sounds doable until you realize that's a lot of people to get moving. We managed to rally our neighbors, though, and soon we had a small army ready to take them on. Legal representation was our next step.
You know it's serious when lawyers get involved.
We asked the property management to organize a special vote. But guess what?
They flat refused.
So we didn't give up. We got our lawyer to inform them we'd be holding the vote ourselves. Picture it, 72 households, more than half the community showing up for this historic vote.
It should have been a done deal, right? Wrong. The HOA and property management acted like it never happened. They laughed in our faces, metaphorically speaking.
But it didn't stop there.
While we were waiting for some kind of judgment from the legal gods, the HOA decided they hadn't made their point clear enough. Out of the blue, they ripped out all the landscaping around our community center and demolished the basketball court. That's tens of thousands of dollars in community resources just gone.
No vote, no discussion, nothing. It felt like they were either trying to burn through the HOA funds for some nefarious reason, or sabotage the incoming board by leaving the coffers dry.
And don't get me started on the pool situation.
Our HOA president, thinking he's running some high-security operation, installed cameras all around the pool area. Yes, including where people rinse off.
Creepy doesn't begin to cover it. The moment people started murmuring about privacy violations, suddenly the pool needed extensive repairs and was shut down for the entire summer. Every time we asked for updates, the story about why it was closed changed.
It was like they were making it up as they went along.
It's clear as day, it's retribution.
They're trying to punish the community for standing up to them. What's infuriating is the sheer pettiness of it all. These are our homes, our community, and this board acts like they're ruling a personal fiefdom.
Gathering support to fight this hasn't been easy. Many are scared of retaliation or simply don't want to get involved.
But there's a group of us stubborn or brave enough to keep pushing.
We have community meetings where we discuss our next steps and try to rally more support.
We're also reaching out to local media, hoping some public scrutiny might shame the HOA into backing down. The latest update from our lawyer is that this could drag on for months, but we're prepared to fight this to the end.
If they think they can wear us down, they've underestimated our resolve.
This isn't just about basketball courts or pools anymore. It's about our right to enjoy our homes and community without feeling like we're under some sort of tyrannical rule. Our next step is organizing a peaceful protest and reaching out to the state's HOA oversight agency for help. We've documented every shady thing the board has done, every rule they've flouted, and every lie they've told. The evidence is mounting, and our case is strong. It's a mess, and sometimes I wonder why we even bother. But then I remember the faces of our community, the kids who lost their basketball court, the families who missed their summer pool time. This isn't just a fight against a corrupt HOA board. It's a stand for our neighborhood's integrity and spirit. Imagine moving to a place thinking it's going to be your peaceful haven, only to find yourself embroiled in a battle for its soul. That's life in Georgetown, Texas right now.
But we're not backing down.
This is our home, and we're going to fight for it with everything we've got. Someday, hopefully we'll look back on this and tell stories about the time we took on the HOA and won.
Until then, the fight goes on.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. to encourage us to make more videos. Please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.